in 2016, the Chamber created a small business task force. It was comprised of Chamber members. It was Ed Levin, the late Ed Levin, Rick Abramson, John Adler, and David Heisey. And we originally it was started with city staff people from economic development, so it was a much bigger group, and then we kind of narrowed it down to a few. Started with looking at fee structures, signage, parking reductions, additional hours for businesses, and then we expanded our scope and continued to work on an initiative with the smaller group, and after 3 years it became this 40-page booklet you see on the table. The final product was so profoundly received by other places and people in other cities and bids that we applied for copyright, and we secured it in 2019. We thank Councilmember Meister for getting the ball rolling and asking staff to immediately look into our recommendations in 2019, and Mayor Schein for continuing to champion the small business initiative. Pre-pandemic, these recommendations and strategies are needed more now than ever. And I'm going to take you through literally 5 minutes, high-level overview of our small business initiative, and then Cherie Franklin, who's our GAC chair, board member, CEO of Urban Design Center, and partner in Go Global, long title, don't add any more, Cherie. Segue into our discussion with our panel for the State of the City theme, which is city planning through the lens of small business solutions. This is very exciting and a lot to take with you at the end of the day, so please stick around. The panel discussion is not about the initiative itself, but it's really more about the broader ideas of how cities can work on establishing different ways to attract and retain small business in their communities. And the 4 panelists we picked are specific for specific different reasons. Someone from John from hospitality, we have the head of economic development, Stephen Chung, we have Eddie Navarrete, who heads up the Hospitality Independent Coalition and also has his own company by right, and Jackie Rocco, who's with the city planning and has been so involved with business development as well. All right, so this conversation is going to take us forward to look at how we envision the future of small business in West Hollywood. The situation, our objectives, our goals, one of which was, quote, broaden diversity of opportunities, socioeconomic equity, and sustainable growth patterns that balance business and resident interests to promote a walkable city. This objective is also in line with our Small Business Foundation mission. We broke the document into 4 segments. It was locations and configurations for small business, expansion of land use types and updating the city's zoning code, city small business programs approval, permitting and licensing, that's streamlining, baby, and Chamber's small business support and initiative. I think we've been talking about streamlining for 40 years. Locations and configurations for small business. This includes, we're looking at different things like live-work units that face the alleyways and creating a pedestrian-friendly friendly walkway with small cobblestone alleyway, and you have blade signage that says there's a fudge shop down there, and you say, I didn't know there was a fudge shop down there, but I can see it, so I'm going to go take a walk, and it creates this pedestrian activity. Shallow depth liner shops. Now, I've been told by Mr. Kehoe that we can do this already. I think that Melrose Triangle new design has liner shops. These are liner shops where you just open them up, you don't need bathrooms or parking, and you can build them in West Side, but there's not a code yet. Small business pocket retail, if you can slide. Smaller businesses are really seeking 500 to 1,500 square feet of space. These spaces are so large they can't afford the rents. We're looking at smaller, combined type of cut-up businesses, but for smaller, unique boutique businesses, and also the larger ones for shared marketplaces, like the new food marketplaces or different businesses in one space. The next item was expansion of land use types and updating the city zoning code. This is really identifying new creative types. Maybe it's the drink and paint class, or maybe it's some of the other things we don't have a code for that people are doing, or how do we take venues like the music concert venues where during COVID the music organizations would talk about how do we create flexibility in use of the venues, becoming like we did with COVID, a lot of you became a bottega or working on to-go orders only, but this would look at how can a music venue, concert hall maybe become a gallery, like art exhibit one night, maybe it becomes where a celebrity chef has a dinner. So looking at how we can do this. And then finally, the gap and cluster business. So this is also where can we We need to revamp the signing ordinance as well. That's one. Businesses, what gap is, what's missing on your corner when you walk down to the neighborhood serving businesses you need? Are we missing a dry cleaners? Probably not. We have like 40 in town, but are we missing a shoe repair? Are we missing something that you need for professional services? And then pop-up businesses are really great. These are even more than ever now. Retail is really going into less brick and mortar, more online, and then doing pop-ups to launch new brands. And these are really exciting in West Hollywood. As Greg knows, in the design district, they're a great source of more pedestrians, more of our audience, more of the people we want in West Hollywood. And I know the Visitors Bureau loves them as well. We love these pop-ups. I also just want to say the Visitors Bureau has a creator series that's amazing. Jeff Morris and his team and Tom created, so check that out. So pop-up businesses, they're also great revenue for landlords who can't rent the space and they want to do, but we need to make it easier to do pop-ups in West Hollywood. The third is city small business programs, approvals, permitting, licensing. Like I said, this is streamlining again, maybe a concierge service, revisiting maybe permits in a day in West Hollywood, don't laugh. It's been done in other cities. Scalable fee structures. Why do we have to have fees that are 10,000 square feet above or below? Why can't we have it based on the size or the intensity of use? 1,500 spaces, 500 spaces, etc., 500 square feet, etc. 1,500 feet, whatever. Okay, I'm trying to go so fast. All right, and the final section is chamber small business support and incentives, which we already do, but this also is looking at promoting resident businesses, and it ties in with our foundation mission again of helping LGBTQ and BIPOC entrepreneurs open businesses, seek higher office, seek higher executive levels, and then home-based business. If pre-COVID we had 1,300 home business licenses, there probably were double. There's probably way more after COVID, where we have so many people that left their jobs, became their own entrepreneurs and started businesses, and then we have such a remote working component now for people working out of their homes for their business. So that's the Small Business Initiative. And I encourage you to take the spiral notebook that's on the table. It's getting pretty dated, and we're going to need to update it because so we're working with our city partners and members to really focus on the Small Business Task Force again on what can we recommend right now to the city, like changes in the sign ordinance and other things to take care of. All right, we're going to get into this panel now, and I'm going to bring up Cherie Franklin. Cherie Franklin, as I said, founder and CEO of Go Global, and she's our moderator today. I'm going to bring up our panelists, Jackie Rocco, City Deputy Manager, Stephen Chung, CEO, President CEO, LAEDC, and also I didn't know that World Trade Center. Okay, Eddie Navarrete and John Terzian. Come on up.
Thank you so much. We have had a wonderful discussion about what do we do to make sure that West Hollywood is making art happen, as it says, making business happen and making innovation happen. And so we're going to have an open conversation about that. I want to thank Mayor Shine for giving us the space and the call to action. Thank you to council members Erickson, Byers, Heidelman, and Meister for your leadership and helping implement this, as well as the team in West Hollywood. I love working with West Hollywood. I originally came here and worked with my partner Danny Shaker on cannabis, but I think I fell in love with Jen, and we just have great conversations together, so thank you, Jen. So we're going to have that conversation today. Before we start, I wore my drag shoes in honor of Pride, so I'm going to click them together, and we're going to all close our eyes. We're going to imagine, close your eyes, and imagine what you want the city of West Hollywood to be, all the activities that will happen here, the businesses, the innovation, the people. Just imagine those things. And imagine us working together, as Jason said. Thank you, Jason. That was beautiful. That's exactly what we need to do. And imagine how we are going to work with each other to make it happen and participate. So that's what we want to see happen. So let's open up the conversation. The framework for some of the things that we need to do and how do we set a framework for solving the issues as we go forward. So we'll start with our Jackie Rocco and just have an open conversation.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here with you. Thank you, Jen, and all the members of the Chamber for inviting me to participate here and be part of this very important dialogue. I think that all of us at this particular point, really are looking at, we've come through COVID, which has been so devastating for so many businesses and so impactful, but we are now looking ahead. We're looking at, how do we get past this, difficult time that the businesses have gone through, and how do we collaborate as city partners, as all of our partners here with the Chamber, with all of you in this community that gives so much, and look at, what can we do better? What can, rather than focusing on what hasn't been working in the past, because some of those things are no longer relevant. So we need to look at what is this new normal? What is this vision for this wonderful city that we all love so much will look like, and how do we make, the necessary changes, the adaptations, provide flexibility, and look at also the value that our code provides, because municipal codes, even though sometimes can be frustrating, provide stability and predictability. So we need to have that framework, but how do we adapt it to these new conditions, these new requirements that the new economy presents for us today?
Thank you. So we're going to, again, create a framework. We want everybody to participate. We have the Chamber. The city has meetings that it has quarterly to be able to get together and solve a lot of things. But I want to go to Stephen Chang because he might have to leave to business with the governor's office. And I think you read in his bio that not only is he leading our LA EDC, which helps all of the cities that are 88 cities here in LA County, but the World Trade. So that gives us a broader perspective. West Hollywood is an item, but not unto itself. And so could you just give us a framework for how West Hollywood fits into this economy and some of the solutions we should be looking towards?
You need to give me the microphone.
Sure.
Oh, you have one.
I have one just grabbing here. Good to see everybody. Thanks for having me again. Stephen Chung with the Los Angeles County Economic Development Corporation. Stepping back a little bit, LADC was created by the LA County Board of Supervisors 42 years ago. It's a public-private partnership before that was a thing. And so our job is to build industries here and make sure that the businesses are thriving. About 20-something years ago, we acquired the World Trade Center Los Angeles because we see this as such an international region. And a lot of times when we look at Los Angeles, we think of ourselves as a small town. The world doesn't think so. They're all coming here. Setting the stage a little bit, I don't know whether you guys know this, but Los Angeles County is home to the world's third largest concert hall study for the County of Los Angeles during COVID. And the same report that found about the 780,000 jobs we lost, we also found that 94% of all LA County companies have less than 20 employees. 94%. 87% actually have less than 9 employees. So we're a small business region, and they employ for about half of the employees here throughout this entire region. However, if you look at most of the programs, especially the state programs that are coming through to fund talent development, it's if you hire 250 people or more, then we'll create a program for you. Is there any way the city of Hollywood can work together with the small businesses to pull them together? If you have 10 companies hiring 25 people each, then you have that critical mass that's able to basically start creating these programs that will be funded by some of these resources that are being provided by the state or by the federal government. So there are a lot of programs that just need to be coordinated, and I think one of the best practices is to make sure that you're able to tap into the existing programs that already have funding.
And before you leave us, Stephen, give us 5 marching orders. What do you think the city, you work with all the cities here in LA County, give us 5 marching orders.
Take notes.
Yes.
Blueprint, and planning. So right now, we have to look at the future because I think a lot of folks, we've been responding. 2008 happened, we knew that economic crisis was going to happen over and over again. Economic recessions are cyclical. So whether it's 5 years, whether it's 25 years, whether it's 50 years, it's going to come back. But when COVID hit us, yes, it's devastating, but we were completely flabbergasted in terms of what we need to do, and we had to start that process all over again. How do we make sure that the next crisis that comes, whether it's a wildfire, whether it's another drought, whatever it is, that we're able to respond to it very quickly? And I think these blueprints, these planning process are going to be in place. So that process, I was glad to hear Jen talk about it a little bit, and the mayor was mentioning as well, there's going to be a plan moving forward. So that plan also has to be connected with a larger regional plan, as I was mentioning. There are going to be a lot of resources. One additional thing I want to highlight is that if the plans are too general, just basically being business friendly is not enough. It has to be industry specific. How do we work with the restaurants? How do we work with hospitality? Two of the hardest hit industries during COVID. And we're still recovering from it right now because international travel is not coming back. So now we start planning for the future opportunity. I'm looking at the various planning blueprint, right? So we're getting ready for the Olympics and Paralympic Games, which is great. I'm not even looking at that anymore. I'm not looking at 2028, I'm looking at 2039. Let me give you the reason why. We just had the US Open, the golf championship here in LA. That's a pretty big deal. We work coordinated to make sure that we're able to get these international visitors to come here to spend more money here. We had the Super Bowl. People are focusing Englewood. Well, a lot of the parties, a lot of the events were happening right here in West Hollywood. Did you know the Women's US Open will be coming 2024, FIFA World Cup 2026, WrestleMania we just had. By the way, that's not a sporting event. I was told it's more entertainment. But 2031, we're competing for the World Rugby Championship. Rugby in Los Angeles. 2032 is a Women's Rugby Championship. 2039 is the US Open coming back to Los Angeles again. Breeders' Cup is going to be this year. We're going to be the sports entertainment capital of the United States, if not the world, for the next 2 decades. Don't forget, when they're not here, we also have the Lakers, the Clippers, the Dodgers, the Sparks, Angel City, LA Football Club, the Rams, Chargers, you name it. This is not including UCLA and USC. And then when they're not playing, Taylor Swift, BTS, they're selling out the concerts, right? And when they're not doing that, the stadiums are now being filled with esports and gaming competition. So we have the content, we have the material, but the thing is, we're always looking, well, that's over at Pasadena at the Rose Bowl, or that's over, no, we're one region. If we coordinate, we make sure that those business opportunities, those contracting opportunities, and by the way, we just learned during the Olympic and Paralympic Games, they will be issuing close to 100,000 contracts. Are you guys prepared to get some of those contracts? We're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars, if not billions of dollars that will be flowing through. Are you guys ready to bid for those contracts? Have you registered as a small business? Have you registered as a minority-owned businesses so that you can qualify for some of these great opportunities? That's a blueprint. Those are the blueprints and the planning I'm talking about.
Excellent. Thank you, Stephen J. And thank you, please, thank you for coming. We look forward to working with you in partnership. And tell the governor we said hello. Thank you. Thank you. So now we're going to bring it home to West Hollywood, all of those points that Stephen shared with us. So Jackie, we've talked about it. You have a big job. How do we shape that? Taking Jen's small business initiative and putting it into action, looking at our planning elements and the team that we have at West Hollywood. What are some of the things we can do? And then we'll see how our businesses here, what they think about it, and some solutions that you would have as well.
One of the things that we've done is, looking at this small business initiative, and Jen, I have the proof here. We've looked through every section of it, and we've taken a look at all of these recommendations. And I want to thank our planning team, John and Jennifer, our economic development team, Laura, Taylor, and Derek. They took each one of these recommendations and they reviewed them thoroughly. Rick Abramson, our city architect, to see, where are the gaps? What is happening here? What do we need to look at? Where are, opportunities to do things now? To, focus on that. And then in partnership with and in connection with the economic study that Mayor Shine discussed earlier, and David and, our economic development team here, is looking at what are the opportunities? Where are the gaps? Where are the areas for opportunities as we evaluate where the growth of industries will be, because as Stephen mentioned, we're not just an island here unto our own, we're part of a broader region. So when we think of West Hollywood, we need to think of how do we fit into this broader region where all of these other activities are taking place. Because all of you here know, for example, the Oscars and the Grammys and Emmys may happen in our neighboring city, but where does all the party happen? Here in West Hollywood, and that's an example. The same with sporting events. We don't have large sports venues here, but again, when these major annual events are happening, they may happen next door, they may happen in Inglewood, and close by, but there are opportunities here for our hotels, for our restaurants, for our nightclubs. So how do we bring those elements together? So that's really important as we look at those opportunities that are emerging now in this new world order that we are talking about. And in terms of the code and the flexibility and where we go from here, looking at where are those growth opportunities, these changing opportunities. We know, all of us, that during COVID, used these apps to have food delivered to our homes. People think they're coming from your local restaurant. Well, guess what? Most of it isn't. It's coming from ghost kitchens and other opportunities that have emerged as part of the pandemic that are also in response to, higher rents and the cost of brick and mortar. So just like with retail, where you now have a smaller footprint for retail, because look, Amazon is a perfect example. What you order isn't coming from next door, it may be coming from a fulfillment center. So all of these trends that have emerged as part of e-commerce, as part of these conditions that emerged during the pandemic, where a lot of businesses, all of you that have been creative and had to pivot quickly and had to be creative with how to serve the demanding needs of customers throughout the region. These are the things that we can partner with all of you, and as we get the results of this economic study, to identify where those gaps are and what we as a city need to do to facilitate these new opportunities, these new business models that are really the new normal. Rather than just sort of looking back at what wasn't working, we need to look forward. We need to look ahead at the opportunities for growth and where we need to make changes. And as we work with our departments throughout the city, with the business community, table meetings that brought together commercial real estate brokers that have the finger on the pulse. They know when people are looking to locate in our city, what are they looking for? And if they can't find exactly what's here, what's missing or what's preventing them from being here? Because those are the opportunities for our city to work together with the business community to identify those gaps and be forward thinking and flexible in the way that we address those needs.
Awesome. So we're going to put all this in a checklist of things to do and track it through all of the different opportunities from GAC to the meetings that the city has. So Eddie and John, you're here, you're conducting business every day, you're impacted by the policies of planning, and you heard what Stephen said, we've got to get ready. So what are your solutions, and what would you suggest that we do here in City of West Hollywood?
Thank you. Well, I mentioned resiliency, and I think that's connected because I feel like policy just cannot keep up with the pace of the way that small businesses are growing. We have axe throwing. I got called about a cat cafe that just can't be done. You mentioned pop-ups. It can't be done with the health department, the way that their policies are. So how do we change and how do we evolve with that? I feel like having the discussions with the departments that are on a day-to-day face with those challenges, and also having the discussions with the people that are helping those businesses get through those policies. So the architects and the designers and maybe the kitchen people, obviously the health department. They need to be part of those discussions in order for us to tackle some of the fire life safety issues, the infrastructure issues, which is a huge problem for us as any developer, but also for the small business community. We just don't have enough power. A lot of getting an electrical upgrade takes a year to 2 years sometimes, which is not, it's not appropriate for a small business to have to go through. One of the biggest challenges for any restaurant, and John, you can agree here or not, is startup costs. And I think that can really drive the success of any business. And so if we can reduce that timeline by reducing the amount of applications that just may not be relevant anymore. For things that are getting approved anyways, do we really have to look at those things the same way as we used to? maybe we can really take a step back and reevaluate with the data that's available, or create that data on seeing what's relevant and what's not anymore, and really trying to give these guys a boost when they start up.
Thank you, Eddie. John, bring us home. Tell us what we have to do.
Yeah, to me, it's actually really simple. So we're all talking, it comes down to one thing, which is communication. And we're all talking up here about just specifically, let's say, the restaurant industry being, you know, a key entity here. And there really isn't a go-to. Like, I'm up here, Genevieve got me involved, and you know, I'm so thankful. I'm on a text chain with, I think, probably 70 restaurant owners in the area. None of them have any clue what's going on. I'm their news resource, which is not a great situation. But in all honesty, create a small board of not just restaurant owners, a handful of the business owners, but have it be people that care, 7, 8 of them, and have a direct connection with the city that is going through these things. Because while we all talk about wanting to be progressive in this pro-business, or you know, attracting people here and stuff, the moves that have been made don't seem to pro-business, and that's not a. I don't think that's a fair reflection of how West Hollywood is or wanting to be. But it doesn't seem to be trending in the right way in that regard. And I'm speaking on behalf of a lot of people. We just texted before this, so. But you know, and I think that's a key thing, and like I said, it can easily be fixed. You know, you're touching on things like permits and stuff. This is not hearsay. This is me. I'm building a new restaurant. I was told it's 9 months minimum now to get a permit in West Hollywood. When I started in West Hollywood, it was 2-3 months. It shouldn't be a time frame. Just have it be the proper, all the proper paperwork, have all the right things. But when I asked why it's 9 months, I was given that's just what it is now. And so to me, that's not what West Hollywood should be, and I think that's some things that you know, we need to kind of get back to.
Thank you, John.
You know, to that point, and John, because that is really critically important, you know, there are some of the dynamics that are also influencing or impacting the length of time to get through things is that, you know, we work with partnering agencies outside of our city. Like, you know that I'm looking at Jake. You have to go to SCE, you have to go to LA County Fire Department, LA County Public Works, LA DWP, Beverly Hills Water. There are a lot of partner agencies that are part of that permitting process. And one of the things that a lot of times applicants experience is that policies are at odds with what the city policies are. The good news is that I want to share with you is that Supervisor Horvath has been really helpful. We've reached out to her, our planning and UDAS, our city architect divisions, have reached out to her office for assistance, because as a county supervisor, she has also insights into all of these agencies that are countywide and can help us address some of these issues that, you know, we have our policies in West Hollywood and we share that with an applicant, and then they go to one of these agencies and they're like, no, you can't do that. And it's like a ping pong. I mean, and that's what adds to the length of time, the frustration that people experience. So, you know, her ability to help us through this process to identify where are these sticking points, where are we odds and in conflict with policies, because these policies have to work together. They can't be in opposition to each other. So that adds to the process, and we are addressing that. We are also in the middle of implementing a major permitting system that will be way more modern than what we have in place right now, with the ability for applicants to log on to a portal and track the progress of their permits. So that's going to help a lot as well, you know, having that technology in place. It's a cross-functional, cross-departmental initiative that includes all of the departments that are tied together in the permitting process, so that there's more transparency into that process. And while, you know, you mentioned that checklists and, you know, samples are not the only solution, and I agree, but we are developing more. Okay, I have to wrap it up. But anyway, these are the things that, you know, we are working with. Like I said, we have our economic development team. Reach out to us at the city. Before you get too far into anything, come and see us so we can help you start up, you know, get started on the right footing so you don't get too far into the process and then get frustrated.
Can I just say, just really fast, I know we have to run, but the idea of just kind of maybe also not throwing money at it all the time, but also just doing more with less, and just reducing the amount of requirements and reducing the amount of what actually requires a permit can lessen the burden on the department so they can do a more successful job. I feel like it's important.
Thank you. So there you have it, Mayor Shine and David and Jen. We're starting our blueprint. All of you are part of it. Get involved. And as Jackie said, come and see her. We're going to solve it together. Thank you.
Or good day. Chamber has a mixer tonight if you really want a long day. At the Andaz Hotel. If anyone wants the centerpieces,
It's not on.